So, CD Projekt Red just dropped some massive news about Cyberpunk 2, and honestly, this changes everything we thought we knew about the sequel. Projekt Orion is real, it's happening, and the details coming out are wild. Let me break down everything that just got confirmed, plus some leaks that have me seriously hyped for what's coming next. So here's what we know for sure. CD Projekt Red officially confirmed they're working on Projekt Orion. That's the code name for Cyberpunk 2. This isn't speculation anymore. They announced it during their latest investor call, and they've been dropping hints in interviews ever since. The interesting part? They're moving away from their Red engine. Cyberpunk 2 is being built in Unreal Engine 5, which is a huge shift for them. They've been using their own engine for years. Witcher 3, Cyberpunk 2077, all of that was Red engine. But they're making the switch, and there's actually some smart reasoning behind it. Unreal Engine 5 gives them access to cutting-edge tech right out of the box. We're talking about Lumen for realistic lighting, Nanite for insane detail levels, and tools that frankly just work better for open-world games at this scale. Plus, it's easier to hire developers who already know Unreal Engine compared to training people on a proprietary system. The team has grown significantly too. We're looking at over 100 developers working on this right now at their Boston studio, with plans to scale up to 200 plus as production ramps up. They've also got a Vancouver team supporting development. This is a massive operation. Here's where things get interesting. CD Projekt Red learned some hard lessons from Cyberpunk 2077's launch. Remember that disaster? The game was broken on last-gen consoles, performance issues everywhere, missing features. It was rough. So this time around, they're taking a completely different approach. No rushing, no overpromising. They've said multiple times that Projekt Orion won't release until it's actually ready. And honestly, that's exactly what they need to do. Right now, the game is in early development. We're talking pre-production phase, concept work, building out the core systems. The team in Boston is leading this project. Yeah, they opened a new studio specifically for Cyberpunk 2. CD Projekt North America is handling the bulk of development while the Warsaw team focuses on Witcher 4. Best estimates? We're looking at 2029 to 2031 based on their typical development cycles. I know that sounds far away, but think about it. Cyberpunk 2077 took years to get right even after launch. They need that development time. And looking at how Phantom Liberty turned out when they actually had time to polish it, yeah, I'm okay waiting. Now, let's talk about where this game takes place, because the rumors here are fascinating. Multiple sources are pointing to a new location, possibly Chicago or another major American city. Some leaks are calling it the Plex instead of Night City. Night City was incredible, but they want to show us a different side of this cyberpunk world. Think about what that means. Different gangs, different corporations running things, a whole new aesthetic. Maybe we'll see how other cities handle the tech divide between the ultra-rich and everyone else. The cyberpunk universe is huge, and Night City was just one piece of it. Story-wise, we might finally get Morgan Blackhand's story. For those who don't know, Morgan Blackhand is this legendary solo from the tabletop game who's been mentioned in Cyberpunk 2077 but never actually appears. He's connected to the Arasaka Tower bombing, Johnny Silverhand's past, all of that deep lore. Getting his story would be massive for longtime fans. There's also talk about the game being set further into the future, maybe 2080s or 2090s instead of 2077. That would let them show how technology evolved, what happened after the events of the first game, and introduce completely new threats. We could see the aftermath of Arasaka's downfall, or maybe they've rebuilt even stronger. The corporate war between Arasaka and Militech could escalate into full-blown conflict across multiple cities. That's the kind of large-scale storytelling this sequel needs. Here's something that's got me hyped. Flying vehicles are confirmed for Projekt Orion. Not just as background scenery like in 2077, but actual flyable AVs that you can pilot. We're talking aerial combat, high-speed chases through the skyways between mega buildings, maybe even dogfights with corpo security. The Unreal Engine 5 switch makes this way more feasible. The engine handles verticality and complex physics really well. Imagine diving off a skyscraper in your AV, weaving between traffic, then landing on a rooftop for an infiltration mission. That's next-level gameplay right there. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Karl Urban's name keeps popping up in casting rumors for Morgan Blackhand. Think about it. Urban has that grizzled, badass energy that fits Morgan perfectly. He's done The Boys, he was in Dread. The guy knows how to play tough characters in dystopian settings. Mike Pondensmith, the creator of Cyberpunk, has confirmed Morgan Blackhand will appear in Projekt Orion. Having someone like Carl Urban voice and mocap that character, that would be incredible. It's the kind of star power that works so well with Keanu Reeves and Idris Elba. The life path system from Cyberpunk 2077, Nomad, Street Kid, Corpo, that's getting a major overhaul. Instead of just affecting your opening and some dialogue options, Projekt Orion's life paths will have deeper consequences throughout the entire game. We're talking faction-specific storylines, different endings based on your background, NPCs reacting differently to you based on where you came from. They're taking inspiration from games like Baldur's Gate 3, where your choices actually matter and branch the narrative in meaningful ways. Speaking of Baldur's Gate 3, that game changed what players expect from RPGs. The level of choice, the consequences that ripple through the entire story, the way NPCs remember your actions. CD Projekt Red is paying attention. Projekt Orion needs that same depth of reactivity. Not just binary good or bad choices, but morally complex decisions where there's no clear right answer. Consequences that don't show up until hours later. Relationships that evolve based on your actions, not just dialogue wheels. They're hiring specifically for this. Encounter designers, AI engineers, narrative specialists who can build those branching systems. The tech is there with Unreal Engine 5, now it's about implementing it properly. Okay, this rumor is wild, but it keeps coming up. A Crystal Palace space station heist. For those who played the Sun ending in Cyberpunk 2077, you know the Crystal Palace is this luxury orbital station where the ultra-elite live. Imagine a mission where you infiltrate that station. Zero-gravity combat mechanics, hacking in space, maybe even spacewalk sequences. It would be such a unique environment compared to the usual urban sprawl. Plus, it ties directly into one of 2077's endings, giving that story continuation players want. The technical challenge is huge, but again, Unreal Engine 5 can handle it. We've seen other games do space environments really well. CD Projekt Red just needs to nail the execution. Here's something that could be massive for Projekt Orion's marketing. Edgerunners Season 2 is confirmed for July 2025. That anime series brought millions of new players to Cyberpunk 2077. The synergy between the show and the game was incredible. If they time it right, Edgerunners Season 2 could build hype for Projekt Orion, even though the game is years away. Maybe the anime explores the new city, introduces characters who will appear in the game, set up story threads. Netflix and CD Projekt Red know they've got gold here. Okay, so multiplayer is the big question mark here. CD Projekt Red originally planned multiplayer for Cyberpunk 2077, then canceled it after launch to focus on fixing the base game. But they've said multiplayer is still something they're interested in for future projects. Here's my take. If they do multiplayer in Cyberpunk 2, it needs to be done right. Not some tacked-on deathmatch mode. Think co-op heists, running missions with friends, maybe even a shared world where you can encounter other players organically. They've been hiring network engineers specifically for Projekt Orion. That's not a coincidence. Imagine pulling off a Corpo heist with your crew, everyone playing different roles. One person hacking security, another handling combat, someone else driving the getaway vehicle. That's the kind of multiplayer that would actually fit this universe. Or what about a separate multiplayer mode entirely? Something like what Red Dead Online tried to do, but actually good from the start. A persistent world where you build your reputation as a merc, take contracts, customize your character over time. The potential is there. Speaking of Johnny Silverhand, will Keanu Reeves return? That's the million-dollar question. He was such a huge part of Cyberpunk 2077's marketing and story. Having him back would be incredible for continuity, but it also depends on the story they're telling. If Projekt Orion is set decades after 2077, Johnny's engram might not make sense anymore, unless they find a creative way to bring him back. Maybe as archived memories, or someone else using his engram, or flashback sequences showing his past with Morgan Blackhand. Look, here's the bottom line. Cyberpunk 2 is happening, it's going to take time, and that's actually a good thing. CD Projekt Red has a chance to do this right from the ground up. They've proven with Phantom Liberty and the 2.0 update that they can deliver incredible content when they're not rushed. That expansion was genuinely fantastic. Great story, solid performance, actual polish on the mechanics. That's the standard they need to hit with Projekt Orion from day one. The Unreal Engine 5 switch gives them better tools. The new studio in Boston brings fresh perspective. The expanded team means more resources. And most importantly, they learn from their mistakes. No more overpromising, no more crunching developers into the ground, no more launching broken games. So yeah, We're probably waiting until 2029 or beyond, but if that means we get a Cyberpunk sequel that actually lives up to the hype at launch, I'm willing to wait. Flying vehicles, Morgan Blackhand's story, a new city to explore, deeper RPG mechanics, potential co-op. There's so much to be excited about. What do you think? Are you excited for Projekt Orion, or are you still skeptical after how Cyberpunk 2077 launched? What features are you most hoping to see? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you're expecting from this sequel. And if you want more updates on Cyberpunk 2 as news drops, hit that subscribe button. I'll be covering every leak, every announcement.